What's going on, guys, in the works, and welcome to another Battlefield 3 showdown between the SKS and the M417. Now, a large majority of you guys wanted to see this showdown between what many people consider to be spam cannons and noob weapons. So we're going to decide which one of these weapons actually truly is the best of breed. Last week we did the M417 versus the M16, the two top tier assault rifles, and the Facebook polls were pretty conclusive that the majority of you guys wanted to vote for the M416. So I would say the comments though were kind of mixed, but in the Facebook poll the M416 definitely got the edge. I don't know if that's because of the disdain towards the M16, but it looks like the M416 is our winner. So if you want to be a part in this week's episode and have your say, be sure to vote in the Facebook poll and leave your comments because I always use those for the next video. But the SKS and the M417 are two weapons that I could not ignore. I've been spammed since Close Quarters came out to do this showdown, but since so many people either like semi-autos or they hate them, I was kind of nervous about doing them because I didn't want to create an episode that caused controversy. So hopefully, even if you don't like semi-auto sniper rifles or weapons in general, you can learn something from this and enjoy this episode. But let's take a look at the stats here. You can clearly see the M417 does do a little bit more max damage at 50, and it drops off to 37.5 to the SKS's 27. But the SKS does have a better recoil, and it does have a faster rate of fire. It does shoot a slightly slower, but I will point out that you can use heavy barrel in SKS to kind of counteract that. But the M417 is an interesting weapon, as you see me get a Marksman 308 with that. Now that's a rarity, especially with an ACOG. I wouldn't really consider either of these weapons, quote, long-range weapons. However, they both do possess the ability to reach out a little bit further and get people beyond the medium range. Because when you look at these two weapons, you kind of think of them as medium range sniper rifles. You don't really think of them as the long-range marksman rifles. But I would say the max range on these things is around 500 meters maybe. After that, you're really going to struggle, because if there's one thing that I found about these, they're not really super accurate. They're called, DMRs, designated marksman rifles, but sometimes they do a really bad job about that, because the aim down sight accuracy on the M417 is actually the lowest of these semi-auto snipers. Its aim down sight spread is 0.05 versus a lot of the semi-autos, I think in fact all of them, is 0.01167, some crazy long number like that. So in terms of accuracy, it's definitely not the best semi-auto sniper. But it does have the fastest rate of fire, and that's kind of how they balance it out. Now on the flip side, you've got the SKS. The SKS's aim down sight accuracy is 0.1. So if you look at it like that, it's got almost double the spread than the M417 in terms of accuracy when aiming down sights. One thing that the SKS does have over the M417 is the rate of fire and the fact that it has a better recoil. Now if you go back and look at the stat chart I put up, you'll notice that I put, for the recoil in the M417, I put weird, because it has a very strange recoil. I have a hard time predicting the recoil on it personally, because it is a little bit more wild. It's unlike a lot of the weapons in the game, because it does have negative recoil to the left. It has a very high upward recoil, and it's got a really hard pull to the right as well. So we kind of get a weapon that behaves a little bit differently than what we see in Battlefield. Usually a weapon pulls one direction and that's it. Very rarely do we have a weapon that can pull to the right and left, by right and left, right and left, and it's kind of tricksy to use. Whereas the SKS, it's notorious for having very, very low recoil, because all its pulls are to the center. So it's really, really easy to snipe people at longer ranges with the SKS, even though the bolt velocity on this thing isn't the best, even though the aim down sight accuracy on this thing isn't the best. It is possible. So it's definitely possible to get some long range kills, especially if you're getting headshots, because this is a 4-bullet kill. So if you get some headshots, you could be looking at some 2-bullet kills. So that's pretty impressive, considering that the SKS is more of a medium range weapon, and it does possess the ability to reach out. I do think, however, the SKS is better suited to a mid-range role. I think that's really where it excels, considering that if you put some lower zoom optics on it, maybe like the flash suppressor or even the suppressor, some people like to use foregrip and use it in close quarters. This thing can be pretty deadly. I've had some good success with flash suppressor and foregrip on this thing because it makes it almost recoilless. Now, it does increase the aim down sight spread, but that's something you have to trade off. Now, which weapon is best in which scenario? Now, I don't think there's a clear-cut winner this week, because they are kind of different. I mean, one can do things better than the other. I think for close quarters engagements, if you're going to take it in the close quarters, the SKS is always going to win. And the reasoning behind that is because it has better hip fire, it has better aim down sight accuracy while moving, So it does possess the ability to be a little bit more versatile, I think, than the M417, because I find the M417 to be very, very difficult to get people at longer and medium ranges. You'll see some shots here, they're all over the place. Whereas with the SKS, even though it's not as accurate, it has a faster rate of fire, it has less recoil, so it's a lot easier to compensate for things because you're not worrying about your weapon jumping all over the screen and stuff like that. So there's not a lot of differences between these two. They do have different damage models, but in terms of being the roles, I think M417 is definitely better at longer ranges in certain situations, but I wouldn't really count the SKS out because, like I said, the low recoil makes it really easy to just stay on target and just be very consistent with your shots. So let me know in the Facebook poll which one you guys think, because I don't really have a clear-cut winner, so I'm looking for your feedback. And as always, let me know what you'd like to see in a future episode. But if you missed any of the past showdowns, now is your chance to catch up. 2 awesome episodes. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.